Sublime magnificence.
Hey guys, you know who it is, what's going on, when it's happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent Big Ugly himself, Omari Ellis Feo Grande on YouTube, back with some more movie talks with another episode of the podcast. And as usual, I am joined by my co-host, one of my best friends in the world, El Director himself, Bill Smith.
Thank you, Omari. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. It's good to be back, and it's good to be doing this, as always.
As always,
yeah, that felt harder to say for some reason. That I'm going to be honest.
Oh, haha, I get what you're getting at.
Let's get it going.
I get what you're getting at. So this guy hasn't seen, where we talk about things back and forth that one guy has seen and the other hasn't. And, we've spanned all kinds of films, from the Oscar winners to the not-so-Oscar winners. Guess which one this one's going to be. Also anime, TV shows, etc. And this week, what I am showing Bill, because he's seen a lot more than me, but I did find something I had seen and he hadn't. And that was Ice Cube's The Players Club.
The Players Club from 1998. It is a woman must contend with rival strippers and her boss in an attempt to make a legitimate living. It is directed by Ice Cube. It is written by Ice Cube, and it stars Lisa Ray McCoy, Dick Anthony Williams, and Judianne Elder, amongst many other people, including Jamie Foxx, Bernie Mac,
Ice Cube.
And Ice Cube himself.
Yep. So like I said, Ice Cube's The Players Club. Yes, I saw this. What year did you say it came out?
1998.
1998. That sounds about right. Because I was going to say I saw it when I was way too young to be watching it in the 90s. Watched it multiple times and stuff. Ironically, I didn't...
At home, VHS rental?
Yeah, VHS, not in theaters. But yeah, definitely watched it at home numerous times. Just like, haha, it's a cool thing. Because Ice Cube had his song from this movie, We Be Clubbin'. And that song played a lot. So, I'm like, oh yeah, it's the movie associated with the song. Got Jamie Foxx in it too. He was on the come up at that time. Jamie Foxx show, I think, was going on. I think In Living Color was done by then. And he started getting the Jamie Foxx show and Booty Call and all those other things.
Right.
So he was on the come up, and I just remembered I'm gonna go ahead and stamp it with it, because even though I held off on requesting this because I feared that it may, have some rose tinted glasses over it, and it wasn't gonna be the same nowadays, I will still stamp it with the membered favorably. Put that right there on the screen. Because that's what it was. I was like, you know what? I'll take a shot. Maybe it won't be good. Maybe it will. Players Club. You have seen now. There's obvious jokes people can make about why you hadn't seen this, or why I hadn't seen some of the other movies. But you have also seen a lot of things in this genre anyway, despite the obvious reasons.
Sure.
But that said, just in case, is there a reason you hadn't seen The Players Club?
Well, this is not a case of me not knowing it existed. Okay. I absolutely thought it existed, and I absolutely thought I had seen it.
Oh.
Turns out that it was actually called How to Be a Player, starring Bill Bellamy.
Yes. Okay.
See? There you go. So other than that, this is not a film that would have been in my sphere. According to Google searches, it hasn't really been a prevalent a feature on any streaming service for a while. It just pretty recently, within the last few years, was available on digital purchasing or renting through Amazon.
Okay.
Or for my case, renting it through Xbox Marketplace store.
Yeah, me, I did Prime Amazon.
but there's nothing, there's no, I've never noticed it on HBO Max's just added role. And that's probably because this is yet another film that is only in standard definition.
Is it?
That you have made me. Is it?
No, I noticed it with Bamboozled. I did not notice it with this one because when I hit full screen, it actually went full screen, and I'm watching it on something that is widescreen. So I'm like, okay, this one's not standard def.
Well, yeah, it's not cut to like a 4:3 format. Okay. It is wider screen. But yeah, it's only an SD rental, which means that it was only a $2 commitment as opposed to like a $4 commitment if it was HD or UHD. So that's just another reason why, like, it's not going to feature heavily. Netflix is not going to feature a standard definition in a movie very prevalently.
This would be the third movie that I did, and it'd be the third like black movie that I've.
Yeah, I mean that's we're maybe highlighting a industry issue where they're not putting any money into re-releasing some of these 90s black films.
Yeah.
Because you're only able to find them on standard definition, which kind of forces them into content purgatory.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things out there. And like I said, like HBO might carry it in their library for a time, but it's not going to know. It's not going to throw it up on the front page.
Yeah.
Hey, look at this fuzzy, grainy thing on your giant TV.
Yeah,
like a lot of people aren't into that. It's something that disappears for me pretty quickly. It's just a funny thing that.
No, I know I knew it was more of a funny thing because that's why you said that. I was like,
I only really encounter in my life through you now.
And the thing is, there was a point where one of the characters is coming out of the club, and I saw it and I'm like, this is kind of grainy. Is this standard def? And then I told myself, no, it's actually in like full screen. So no. Okay, I'm just, I'll keep not knowing what standard and high def is. But it was standard and I kind of noticed, but I went out of it real quick because like you and I, we grew up with standard def anyway.
Right, yeah. So I guess our brains can go there pretty fast. But also, sometimes it's just like our modern TVs aren't really made to play that.
Yeah.
And the fuzz ends up getting defined and like, it's a weird,
especially on a bigger screen.
In some cases,
being an
like
issue.
Like Bamboozled. Bamboozled had a hard time on my big TV. It looked like garbage sometimes, but oh my goodness, the Queen Latifah
set it off,
and this film, you kind of disappear into it pretty quickly.
Yeah, so that's how I saw it and why you hadn't seen it. So going into this, but no, that's still a good tangent to go on and stuff,
right?
But going into this, what were you expecting with the Players Club?
Okay, so what I was expecting, the only real lead-in you gave me was Ice Cube directorial debut.
Or Ice Cube directed it.
Or Ice Cube directed, correct, sorry. And I'm sure I had a little bit of previous assuming because of only just the name The Players Club that it could be about a strip club, and then caught a little bit of a synopsis as similar to what I just read at the beginning of this show, probably while I was as I was actively searching for it to be where I was going to find it.
All right.
When you type in movie plus streaming, the movie comes up, a quick little bio,
Yeah.
In that quick scroll to try and find the streaming service that it would appear on, I know I caught the word stripper and stuff like that, and so and I also caught that it was starring a female, and like Ice Cube was not immediately listed in the actors reel, so I kind of immediately called a little bit of the film and figured that it was going to be like a woman's struggle film of hard life of a stripper. So Ice Cube gets to try and make a legitimate film, but also gets them titties in there.
Right. I'm gonna oh, go ahead. Keep going.
And that's pretty. That's what I was expecting. Was like, is this going to be like, single mom has to strip to pay the bills, look at her hard life, but also conveniently half of the film takes place inside of a strip club. So there's going to be like he was honestly tasteful compared to what I was expecting. I was expecting like obscenity.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like every frame was going to have titties in the background, titties walking across screen, like I'm sitting, like it's coverage of me talking to you, yada yada.
All right.
That's what I was expecting. So that would be a point where where I got it wrong. I got to give credit to Ice Cube. He definitely held more restraint.
Yeah, I had honestly early on, because of the restraint that you mentioned, I had actually told myself like, yeah, I don't even think the main character ever gets topless. She has
one incredibly brief scene.
I'm saying she does, but I didn't remember it. Because they were a bit more tasteful with the nakedness, Yeah. They weren't always bucket naked in the movie. But no, for going into this one,
majority of the time it's the equivalent of like a bikini.
Yeah.
Is what girls are walking around in.
Yeah. So I honestly wasn't.
Which was definitely surprising.
Yeah, I honestly wasn't sure what to expect going in. Kind of like I said earlier, because even though I'd watched it a lot when I was younger.
How long? Like no revisiting of it?
No.
Since like 12 years old?
Since about 15, but yeah. Like early 2000s would have been the last time I watched it, because I had seen it enough. I guess I thought the parts that I remembered were still here this time, and I forgot a lot about the rest of the movie, but the favorable parts were still remembered favorably. But yeah, so we'll get into it. So getting into the movie, initial reactions, now that you know what you expected. I like the intro song.
Yeah. The intro song. What? Her walking up to that rubble, picking something up, and then that narration beginning. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It immediately set the tone for what we were in for. And I was like, oh.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I had a similar reaction with like the exact same thing. You're like, okay, this is not exactly what this is not to the level that I remember it. Not that I didn't expect an Oscar winner or nothing like that. I expected 90s hood movie acting, but
this film starts so bad.
Yeah,
it starts so bad. The scene of dialogue exchanges between our young main character and her parents through the window are terrible. They are terrible. It's so badly done. It's weird. I'm wondering if they shot the movie in order. because I feel everyone getting better.
Yeah.
As the movie gets on. Like, it's like they were filming in order and they were all doing their last few scenes and it just clicked on them of who the character was or what they were doing there or something. Because
I'll give you that.
Starting off this film is hard.
Yeah.
Because every character is pretty rough. The blonde, I kind
Ronnie?
of I guess you would call her the villain. Ronnie. Yeah. Her first few scenes are rough with a capital R. Capital OUGF. Rough. The first 30 minutes, it's really just Jamie Foxx who is putting in any kind of realistic performance. And I don't want to be an asshole. Like I'm so usually not this guy.
I liked Bernie, but I also feel like Bernie Mac was being Bernie Mac. So
Bernie is making a really strong choice, and it's fun for the sample in Heard 'Em Say by Kanye West, but I don't know if it necessarily works for a full movie. That voice is a really strong choice, but he's doing it too. But I think he kind of gets lumped in with everybody else, where his best stuff is in the back end of the movie.
I will also agree. Like I'm agreeing with you about they probably started. And
you know what? No, actually, I'll also give it to Anthony Johnson, Lil Man. Yeah. Lil Man, he is rock solid the entire movie. He's not asked to do much, but what he's asked to do, he's doing it really well. So I want to give him some shout outs. I want to give him some love. And yeah, I want to give Jamie Foxx some love, because although he has very little to do in the beginning of the movie, he's really just there to set up his involvement in the third act.
Yeah.
But the few bits that we have, he does a really good job. His communication, he has one scene with our main character where I'm like, thank God, like somebody who's like acting and not just like repeating words back like it was so rough. And then he has the other scene with Bernie Mac where Bernie's also good in that scene, and that's some of Bernie's best work of the movie, where Jamie is just like, I'm not making tips, why are you taking 30% from me? So those were acting highlights for me there in the beginning. But man, initial reactions, I can't not highlight the really tough time I have with the acting in the beginning.
With the initial,
and then in general, it just seems like it's like, okay, Ice Cube it's a real like A, B, C, D plot line. We see it like we know it. Like the second the cousin gets introduced, we know what's going on there. We know what's gonna happen.
Things are gonna get a lot worse.
All that's also kind of in my initial reactions. It's like, okay, yep, this is what this is gonna be, and yeah, that's. What were you thinking as the movie was going?
I liked the intro song. I had a similar reaction, like I said, to her picking up that and starting the narration. I'm like, ooh, okay.
It's so tropey.
And
wow.
Some of the other stuff. Well, and something like there's a guy on YouTube, like Prim's Hood Cinema. He reviews a lot of hood movies. Yeah. And I think one of the things he points out is a lot of hood movies have narration. He's like, man, we really love narration around here, don't we? Every movie. I bet you wonder how we got to this point. Oh, and it's got the in medias res on top of it. Or not even in medias res. It's just shit's over. Let me tell you how I got here.
Right.
But Yeah, I saw that. I was looking for that. Okay, what was favorably about this that I remember? And then, Dollar Bill, I remember that I'm a giant Bernie Mac fan. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's the main reason that I keep coming back to this, that I remember this movie fondly. Like, I know Jamie Foxx is good too. There's always his, initial, hey, look here, I want to welcome all y'all broke ass entrepreneur niggas to the Players Club and all of that stuff, which was put at the beginning of the We Be Clubbin' by Ice Cube. That took that sound clip. So I'm like, oh yeah, all right. So Bernie Mac, Jamie Foxx, y'all are gonna be the main reason I'm rewatching this movie. And then I saw Anthony Edwards. You said not Edwards. Anthony Johnson. Anthony Johnson, or Ezel from Friday. Him. I saw him, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure he was funny too. So I'm like, I had always remembered this movie as a fucking comedy, which is crazy given the subject matter it gets into.
No, like the very first, the top review in the Xbox store as I was renting it was like, this movie is hilarious! 4 exclamation points. I laughed so hard. What?
Which is fucking crazy. It is not a comedy at all. Well, Jamie
Foxx gets like 3 jokes in, and Bernie Mac isn't even really doing jokes. He's just got his
delivery makes it funny.
Yeah, apparently it's based on it's like directly an impersonation of an uncle of his.
Oh, okay. That's probably why he's making the strong character choices he's doing.
Right.
Yeah, Dollar Bill, whose real name is William Dollar. So that's how he came up with that. I'm like, okay. Some of the names are kind of silly in this too. You got people named after cities. You got, because St. Louis is the ultra villain, I guess, behind the movie, and he's got KC and Brooklyn working for him. So,
and he controls the South.
Yeah, and he controls the South. Just like, okay, just do something, make me feel better. But
Jamie
anyway,
Foxx's name is Blue.
Yeah, Blue, and then all the strippers have stripper names. Diamond, stuff like that.
If they're lucky enough to get one. I'm looking at the cast list right now, and there's a lot of stripper 1, stripper 2, stripper 3.
Yeah, no, if you ain't a character that's gonna matter in some form, you ain't getting a name.
If another character doesn't say your name, bitch, you don't have a name.
You don't have one. That's true. Yeah, it's just the bare minimum. Like, here, you got this. We got these people who talk. But I guess we'll go right into the plot and standout moments. So, is there anything what's your first standout moment, or first thing that really got you, or stood out to you?
Oh, let's see. So I just watched this a little bit ago. I guess the surprise of the first standout moment that happens, I guess the biggest, is the surprise of Bernie Mac.
Okay.
And realizing that is the that him doing that voice is at the beginning of Heard Him Say by Kanye West.
Gotcha.
The nothing with your life. I feel like there's at least somebody's impersonating that voice in that scene with Jamie Foxx at the beginning of Kanye's song. So it's like, oh, okay, I get that reference. If nothing else, I can take that away from this film now.
My first standout moment is also Bernie Mac related. It was just when he's talking to her and her cousin, and he's just mainly because I had remembered the scene from when I was younger. Just the stripper started in Africa. The white man went over there and he saw women walking around in the nude, bucket naked. And then say something else, titties, asses. I'm just
yeah, I mean, his whole character choice, it's just, man, it's a rough. his just interview,
bucket naked.
Yeah.
See, and stuff like that is why I had remembered it as a comedy, was because of Bernie Mac. But yeah, it's not, as we said, and we'll get into.
No, yeah, a good portion of the movie is just people asking where he's at and him not being around.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he doesn't. Him and Jamie don't get like they probably put in like 2 days, 3 days on this movie. But it's like, and if I'm honest, I've already covered it. One of my big standout moments was that scene about of the dad kicking the girl out because she wanted to go to a famous black college, which I don't know. I've never heard that phrase before. Like, it's always
historic,
right?
Yeah.
And they said it 3 times in the span of like 6 sentences. It was like, I want to go to a famous black college. No, you are going to go to a college upstate. You are not going to go to a famous black college. And it's just like, this is the weirdest argument in the world.
I'm not
and also
the colleges, you gotta go get a real education. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the hell?
And yeah, so like the fact that they weren't using the phrase historical black college, it kept throwing me. And then it's just, yeah, it was the deliveries at the beginning there were so rough, and so that was just sticking in my craw for a while. And then the we're also like moves pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like, you want to see main character as the stripper? Bitch, we're gonna get her there in 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's like, all right, she got kicked out the house. She started selling shoes. So stripper showed up, told her she should strip. She goes, interview. Now she's been stripping for 4 years, so she's experienced. You know, she's got the little weirdo dude that saw her on her first date. It's a regular for her now. We'll get into Myron, I believe his name.
I don't know how you watch. I mean, so like, let's. Is it the TIDDIES? Is that why 12 to 15-year-old Omari watched this?
I watched it because
several times
because I thought
it was
funny.
Just tittied enough to pass through your mom's inspection.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. It was more I thought it was
dude,
a funny
there's
movie.
So many really fucked up dark moments of this film.
Focused more on
in the end there,
and the scene with the dad, shooting. And the worst part is, like,
because we all have that film. We all have that film that we've never even seen the third act of. Yeah, because we knew that there was.
I knew there was some doubt. I didn't realize it was the focus. I'll put it that way. I saw it as an unfortunate thing that happened with that, and I didn't grasp the full severity of that scene until today, like what exactly was happening. So it was like, oh, now that I'm like more than double the age I was then, and have more of an understanding of what that is and why it's wrong. Holy fucking
I guess
shit.
That's true. To like 12-year-old me, I'm not fully comprehending how fucking dark behind that scene is. But man, that is.
So I just focused on the funny things. Trouble.
I would say another standout moment I have, I would say, is I will give credit to Ice Cube for directing and writing a film, and getting his ass kicked like twice.
Yeah.
Like the first time he got in a fight, like when he started fighting with Luther's crew, he joined in to help his buddy. I was like, oh, all right, so let's see how Ice Cube magically kicks all 6 of these dudes' asses because he directed the movie and his characters, like pull some Vin Diesel kind of shit. And to his credit, he I don't even think he lands a single hit. He gets his ass whooped.
He hits one dude from behind, and then he just gets his ass whooped.
Right? Yeah, he gets a cheap shot on Michael Clark Duncan, and then that's it. And then he instigate. I mean, the character Junior, is obviously the man who pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
But Ice Cube handed that man the gun.
Yeah.
And said, "Hey, go do this."
Yeah.
So that was fucked up. And like, to make a movie, to write and direct a movie, and not only do you not put yourself as the hero or do a lead, like write a movie that you're the lead in or anything like that, but you give yourself minimal screen time, and you are a villain, like a hardcore villain who doesn't even like.
Yeah, you're not a good person at all.
Succeed at anything really, and other than
ruining two people's lives.
Yeah, achieving sexual assault.
Yeah,
and physical violence, like that. Behind that door is a whole mess of horridness.
Yeah,
and then you mention him again. I'll just lump these into two standout moments because they stick out in the film as like, I think it's almost like we're watching Ice Cube's like student film or something where he's just like jam packing everything that you're supposed to put in a movie. Then we have, what is his name, Marvin or Marlon or Myron? Comes home to Diamond's apartment, and it's really creepy and fucked up. And then immediately after that, she finds out that her cousin is slept with her broken up with boyfriend.
She grabs
but that moment of her stalker trying to come in the apartment, that was super dark. And yeah, I think those moments, those two moments in particular, stand out in this film as like. I will say, every time it gets to that stalker scene, I keep thinking Jamie Foxx shows up and saves her. Not that she makes it into the apartment. And every time it was like, oh yeah, then Jamie Foxx shows up. He's like, hey, I thought he was acting weird, but no, it was just. No, that was it. Then she goes in to find what she finds, and then she just pulls out a fucking gun and starts shooting, which ends up, as we find out, being kind of hereditary at the family being loose with guns. Because her dad with Jamie Foxx see, like, so what you plan on doing with my daughter tonight? That's crazy. Your daughter is like in her 30s at this point. With a kid already. Yeah, like, come on now. It's just like, what? Your daughter might make more money than you. Yeah, like bring her home at this time. Don't play. Don't bring her home any later. It's like, oh god. She just happens to be staying here because you're watching her child. And then what is it? Later, when she ends up using a gun again, Jamie Foxx is like, you and your daddy. Right. I'm like, I just noticed that this time that is kind of just like, okay, that's just hereditary. They're just trigger happy. But no, scenes like that, and like I said, most of Dollar Bill scenes and most of Anthony Johnson's scenes stuck with me more when I was younger. So I thought, oh yeah, it's a comedy. I mean, yeah, okay, like Anthony Johnson's like 3 different St. Louis's limo pulling up in front scenes are all kind of played for comedy mostly. Yeah. And it's more, I focused on the comic relief to the darkness than the fact that it's supposed to be a dark movie. Right. Because as someone mentioned, like, often you remember happy things more than sad as time goes on. Like, your brain just chooses to be like, I liked the way this made me feel. So if I'm ever gonna look back on it, that's what I'm picking, not this. So, and I think that's what happened. It got cherry picked from the movie over time. Because, boy, dark as hell. So,
Yeah, essentially the cousin does get assaulted, and then we get the climax where we find out, main character's confronting someone who assaulted her at one point when she was drunk and passed out, and is trying to assault her again. Or tried to during the movie, at least. Not at that particular one. That time she was getting revenge for her cousin at the end. But yeah, cops show up, arrest Ronnie for what her brother did, and her complicitness in that, as well as
Junior was already in the back of the squad car that had pulled up.
Yeah.
To the strip club.
Yeah, and they'd be like, you can't do so, motherfucker, this is a charge. Unless you want to be prime subject, you get the fuck out of my face. It's like, okay, yeah, makes sense. You do get to arrest them. And then Dollar Bill gets caught at the very end, and St. Louis's whole, do something make me feel better. I'll make you feel great.
Which you can see right down the barrel of that empty tube that is a bazooka. You can see an empty tube with light shining through the back end and several wires, probably for the flashbang that's about ready to occur. But yeah, that's just a hollow tube that Charlie Murphy's holding up to his shoulder.
And blow up the club, and it's like, this is how it got burned down at the start of the movie.
What as all the arrests were wrapping up and the big climax moment was dying down, and Bernie was like the only one left, and he was like, well, I was like, but how does it burn down? It's got to burn down.
And they're driving off, and it looks like it won't happen.
At this point, my wife Jen arrives. Unfortunately, like as our main character is scolding her cousin for sleeping with her ex.
Okay.
Like as that's going on, my wife is getting home.
Okay.
And she's settling in the process, and she eventually sits down somewhere during the date with Jamie Foxx, while simultaneously the bachelor party is starting to build.
Oh God!
Yeah. So she saw a great chunk of this movie, but honestly, she saw the best acting parts of this movie.
Yes.
Like credit to, although I hated her first scene, I do want to highlight Ronnie. Her very first scene with the cousin in her car, where she's just kind of she's making her play for like, your sister doesn't actually know shit. Look at her. She drives a shitty ass car. She talks all this bullshit, but she's not doing nothing. Look what I'm doing, kind of thing. That scene, she's doing really good. Yeah. Like she's getting real. It's not feeling like dialogue. Like there's so many of the early scenes where it really feels like, say this, or like they were just handed lines, and that might be the case. And they're like, or like reading cue cards almost. Yeah. But that scene, she did a great job. But yeah, the ending is it gets intense, and that's what my wife saw. But the explosion finally occurring after Bernie Mac, and I'm like, and this is while I'm at this point, I'm having to detail the movie to Jen. And like, so this is kind of like, I don't know, this is like three different kind of micro gangs coming together by the leader of this guy named St. Louis in the wheelchair. And yeah, I don't kill the bartender, please don't. And I'm like, the bartender hasn't done anything, Jen. She's basically just been the stripper's therapist. Yeah, like she just slides into frame every once in a while with a drink in her hand and is like, everything going okay? Yeah. Oh, that's shitty. You got to stop doing that. All right, bye. And then leaves the frame. That's her contribution to the movie. So I didn't want to see her die. Which we didn't. Same. We didn't get visual confirmation of her getting killed. Correct. But I also don't remember getting visual confirmation of her alive.
I don't either. Because there was he helps her duck under the initial shots in the room and stuff like that. Right. Which With him surviving, I'm going to assume she did.
Dollar Bill would use her as a shield.
Well, he brought her under the
Right, but he would use her as a shield after that. I don't know. I don't recall. I feel like we never got us. I know we got any motherfucker who doesn't want to die, leave now. And we got a specific shot of the two of them going, "Did you hear something?" And then the bartender going, "No." So I was like, "Damn it, bartender's gonna die."
Yeah.
But yeah, we never actually saw it. But man, standout moment when that fucking reel starts up right before the credits of, and now we're gonna tell you the futures of all the characters.
Oh my god! I had forgotten that cliche. Thank you. I had forgotten about that cliche. So and so did this and this and that. Like, why? And did they even talk about like KC and St. Louis, KC and Brooklyn? KC and Brooklyn are still working for St. Louis and doing blah blah blah. I don't give a fuck about KC and Brooklyn.
Like everyone that you care about has had a perfect, great life, and everyone that you dislike has had a bad life. That's all you need to. That's all you. That's it. Like, oh, like, you know, Jamie Foxx's character, he was a club DJ, so now he's a famous radio DJ.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, exactly that. It's just the good characters win and the bad characters lose. Also, some bad characters didn't win or lose, they just stayed bad characters. Because we really didn't need to know about Casey and Brooklyn. They never once mentioned anything about their goals in life. You could have not told us, and we would have assumed the exact same thing that you told us. Because that's all we do with them anyway. They're two dudes that work for St. Louis. But yeah, so
what role would you play?
Yeah, personally,
You're gonna be Myron.
I wouldn't want to be a Myron, but I could see someone casting me as one. But I would want to be like a Dollar Bill or somebody, because Dollar Bill's hilarious. And I'm just a giant Bernie Mac fan. Or even Jamie Foxx in the movie, I'm the MC of the club guy. He's also like a nice guy, whatever. I could do the Jamie Foxx. Well, I just, I wouldn't mind doing any of those roles.
Right.
Or some of the smaller comedy ones, but
I would eyeball like Ice Cube's role or even his buddies. I feel like that's an okay role for me. Yeah, and I would say that's about. Other than that, we could either of us could be any one of the just like general strip club attendees. Fortunately, including Myron, Marvin, Marlon, Mirren.
Looks so fucking pathetic in that first scene with the dollar holding it up, and the bartender be like, "Did you want to dance, Myron? Go ahead." Oh no, it wasn't the bartender, but it was somebody else. It was like,
Ronnie.
Ronnie, like, "You want to dance, Myron? Go ahead, dance for him." It's like, dude, you can't even say that. All right, so that said, final thoughts.
I mean, come on, this isn't a good movie.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not. It's not a good movie. It's not. It's not that entertaining of a watch.
Fair. So yeah, while I don't think it's a great movie or anything like that, and I kind of didn't think it'd be a great movie going in, yeah, I will admit it's rewatching it. It's not really a good movie. That said, I do think there are some things that it does do kind of right, such as you feeling the weight of the more serious moments later, like an earlier assessment of the acting getting better as the movie goes on. I agree with, and it helps some of the later scenes hit as hard as they should. Like, for all the terrible acting in the movie that does occur, the scene where you should most feel like, oh shit, that's terrible, I think hit. That was a home run. As well as some other scenes in the movie. But for the most part, yeah, some choices didn't need to be made with it. Or at the very least, if they were made, maybe shot a couple of times, get a couple other takes in there. But yeah, so I don't regret having suggested it, but I could see, I could kind of tell from the beginning that I'm like, yeah, this is why I didn't want to suggest it.
I was mad at you for the first 15 minutes. I was. I'm gonna be genuine about that. I was mad about you.
I can see that.
I paused it, and I went and I gathered a bunch of my laundry, and I sat there and I folded and sorted laundry while a good chunk of the rest of the movie played, and a couple of times it was able to hold my focus for a while. Yeah. And I mean, I'm always watching it, you just look down at a t-shirt and you pick it up and you're folding it as you're watching the movie.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Over there. But yeah, there were times where I wasn't actively like laundrying or anything, that it was grabbing me. But yeah, the first 15 minute, like fourth wall breaking, first film that I texted you during my watch.
Yeah, I saw that at work, like 5 minutes in, the acting's so terrible, and I'm like, I want to be like, yeah, the acting's so good in this movie, but then I'm like, but some of the later scenes, maybe, we'll see. I'll just wait till get the reaction face to face. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I probably did not suggest a good one this week, and that's fine. It's gonna be like that. Look,
it happens. I'm the Simon Cowell of the pair. I'm fine with that. You know, yeah. Hugh Jackman, get at me. I don't care. Greatest Showman is not a good movie.
Oh man. Ho, see what Hugh Jasmine says eventually. Ha ha. Anyway, so did you have any ideas of what to watch next or anything like that?
Oh, right. Yeah, that would be my turn. I can definitely. Hold on. We're going to pull that up in real time. We're going to vamp until I open my little Google Doc. Wrong Google Doc. You know, I'm an adult man in 2022. I got a lot of Google Docs now. I'm a man of Google Docs.
Google Docs is the place to be.
So let's see. So I did Children of Men.
Yeah.
You did this piece of crap. No, I'm kidding. Let's see. We are going to counter. You know, let's go. I only have a couple of comedies on the list. I'd like to do a comedy. Let's go with You Have Never Seen Bridesmaids?
I have not.
Let's watch Bridesmaids.
Bridesmaids. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Bridesmaids. All right, so yeah, I guess that's what we're watching next week. If you want to find this elsewhere, obviously you can find me here on this channel. You can also find me elsewhere on YouTube on the Whatever We Want podcast. This is a podcast I do with a friend of mine, Super Jazz.
Super Jazz.
That's right, as nature intended. Every week, every Wednesday. Well, I also have a Twitter and a Twitch. That's Giotavi. That is Giotavi.
Come on in. Stop on by.
Thank you very much. And Bill, you got anything you want to say to the folks out there at home?
Vote? Are we a week late?
Yeah.
I'm a week late. I hope you voted. I hope you voted.
Might be too.
Yeah, I hope you voted. People who do not participate in their democracy are just above people who commit violent crimes against other people. Like, that's the lowest of the low. and then there's people who don't vote, and I'm not even playing.
Fair enough.
Vote. Thanks.
Fair enough. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Adios.